Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be looking through r/JustNo mother-in-law. This one should be amusing and infuriating. Probably a mixture of both throughout the whole post. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, first post. My mother-in-law rushed to my baby when my husband called for mama. Hi everyone, I'm a first time mum with an almost 1-year-old. During the newborn stage, my mother in law stayed with us to help, but it often led to me feeling overwhelmed and hurt. Her comments and actions rubbed me the wrong way, and I felt dismissed or undermined at times. I communicated this with my husband, and it led to several intense conversations. I asked him to set clear boundaries with her, especially regarding respect for me as the mother. Fast forward to now. I've been trying to rebuild a relationship with my mother-in-law. I agreed to let her stay with us for 5 days, and now we're on day 4. I've been brushing off the small things for the sake of peace, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but something happened today that broke me a little. My husband was giving our baby a bath and called out, "Mama, please come here, Bubba is finished." I was in the kitchen with mother-in-law, and we both clearly heard it. I looked at her, then looked back to respond, literally about to say, "Coming, just a minute," but she rushed to the bathroom before I could even get a word out. Ran, as if she was mama. That moment hit me so hard. Our eyes met before she darted off. She knew. I felt this gut-wrenching jolt that she knowingly took my place in that moment, and what hurts even more is that it didn't feel like a misinterpretation. It felt intentional. I don't know how to process this. I'm trying to not be overly sensitive, but my instinct as a mum tells me that this was deeper than just a misunderstanding. I felt like a line was crossed. My gut tells me this, and I know I'm not overreacting, but God, it hurts so bad that I don't know what to do. I have talked to my husband about it, and is pushing me to talk to her about it. I mean, at least the husband's actually telling you to talk to her about it if like you have an issue. Like, that's good that he's encouraging you to actually talk to her about it, and I think you should, and it looks like you have your husband's approval to do so. One thing I will say though is, like, if my kids decided to have their own kids, I mean, I hope not, and in this economy, God, ruin them, I hope not. But if they did, and like say I was in the house, I was downstairs, and they shouted, "Mum, come here," ready to get out the bath, I would knee-jerk reaction, even though actually they're not talking to me. I would think for a second they were, and I might start to walk up as if like, "Oh, coming," because obviously when you're used to being called mum for like years and years and years by that specific person, the knee-jerk reaction would be to be like, "Oh, I'm coming." Obviously, there could be more nuance to this, and the mother-in-law could actually be a massive bellend and knew exactly what was meant. But yeah, no, I can see a way in which this could have been just a silly mistake. I don't know. I kind of feel we need more context on the other stuff that mother-in-law did that was so wrong, because I know that OP kind of skirted around the fact of what actually was said and done beforehand, and just kind of said that there was happenings that were not okay, but we don't know what they were. So I don't know. It's hard, really, to say without that context. What I can say though is if that happened to me as the mum, and I was like, "Oh, coming," and then realized, "Oh wait, you didn't mean me," I'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so stupid. I thought they meant me. I'm so used to them calling me mum that I thought it was me." You know, and just like laugh it off and be like, "No, you go. I'm being silly." But anyway, down in the comments, otherwise Western 10 says, "My adult children call me mama. If I heard my son call out, 'Mama, come here,' I would respond thinking he was talking to me." Exactly. However, if I knew he was in a situation like this one, bathing a baby, and he hollered that out, I would probably respond with, "Are you calling for your mama or his mama?" But then my son and I have a good relationship where I don't have a habit of stomping all over his girlfriend's boundaries. Yeah, exactly. Given the fact that she ran there in order to get there first leads me to feel that she knew exactly what she was doing and was hoping for a deniability and confusion to keep her out of trouble. Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly possible, isn't it? That's perfectly possible. It could be an innocent mistake, and I could absolutely see how it could be. But she could also be being a bellend. And then Wild Replacement 9483 says, could be this, but most adult children say mum, not mama. And I have a feeling that if he does happen to call her mama, OP would know that and be torn between not knowing who he was calling for and adding that to her concerns about overreacting. And then This'll Be Fine says, this is my feeling. And Present Mastodon 503 says, I feel like this is where OP's husband should have cleared up the misunderstanding. Next post is titled, Get This Absolutely Devastating Crap. So, I had my baby. She came at 37 weeks. Just know effing mother-in-law is out of town. Well, fun fact about me, I handle all of Just Know mother-in-law's stuff. I pay bills, I order prescriptions, this really matters. I do grocery orders, transport, you name it, I probably do it. I've been a caregiver to my Just Know effing mother-in-law for over 2 years, and to be honest, I didn't mind caregiving. I live in the basement, have my own space, and my boyfriend lives upstairs with his mum. Okay. And my baby girl has her own room down here in the basement with me. Well, I brought my baby girl home, and of course I let Just Know effing mother-in-law know, and Just Know effing mother-in-law was coughing and sounded like crap. I said, you sound sick. She said it's just allergies, and I said, that antibiotic that's ready for pickup says otherwise. Well, earlier that day, before I even spoke to Just Know effing mother-in-law, I got a notification that an antibiotic called Levaquin was ready for pickup for Just Know. I asked my boyfriend about it, and he said, oh god, she's really sick. Last time she had that, she had bronchitis and pneumonia. And I was like, well, good thing she's out of town. And I really shrugged it off until that phone call, when the bee lied to my face. This bee, who is severely sick, just lied to my face and said it was just allergies, and she was due to come home, and she was going to expose my baby. After the phone call, she called my boyfriend and asked him, how did she know I was sick? Did you tell her? And then I lost my crap on my boyfriend. Like, y'all keeping secrets going to expose a few days old baby to that crap? No. Hell no. Just effing no. Boyfriend had no idea, apparently. He hadn't been talking to her. He was just enjoying being home alone while I birthed our baby. This was fine for us. We discussed it, not a big deal, and I actually had a really good birthing experience. Oh, I can hear the comments right now. I can hear them, and I haven't even looked at them yet. I just know that everyone's going to be in an uproar that she gave birth on her own. And for all we know, the OP comes from a culture that does that, because there are cultures that do that. They don't have the men there. They do it with like a woman in the family. The men aren't allowed. They're not welcome. So that's not unusual. I am side-eyeing though that the boyfriend lives upstairs with mummy, whilst the OP lives in the basement. That is weird. Again though, who knows? That could just be the way some people do it. Anyways, I'm moving out soon as possible, and I have refused to speak to Just Know. And I'm honestly so emotionally effing distraught that I just didn't think that she would go as far as that. Something that could potentially kill a newborn. I'm done, but I guess since she was caught, she has refused to come home until she's better. And then the toilet and sink upstairs fell apart, and she's staying out of town until it gets fixed. Either way, I'm getting out. This was my final straw. I mean, the way that OP says this was my final straw tells me that it's not been good up until now either, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I completely agree with the OP on taking none of the crap of like lying about being ill, like pneumonia and bronchitis. Yeah, that could be the end of a tiny newborn baby's life. Easy peasy. What is she thinking? I mean the mother-in-law, by the way, not the OP. Like, what the hell? That's insane. I'd go nuts. So, down in the comments, Obvious Comfort 9726 says, I have so many questions. You gave birth alone whilst he was just enjoying alone time at home? He wasn't at the birth of his own child? And why doesn't he live in the basement with you? Yeah, that's the bit that I'm more stuck on, the fact that he lives with mummy instead. And then the mess of her being willing to expose a baby to illness. No, you're right to leave. And then Hog11 says this comment, yes. You went through labour alone while he hung out at home. Is there a reason for that? So then Restless Dreamer 79 says, good on you for not putting up with this. I agree. Get the F out now. If she does this while the baby is newborn, what about when she's a little bigger? What a very strange situation, huh? I just can't get over the fact that they, like, the OP's in the basement and the boyfriend and his mummy are upstairs. That's so odd. Next post, my toxic mother-in-law ruined my birth experience and is blaming me for it. For context, my mother-in-law is a nurse and only works part-time at the hospital I had given birth at. She was off for a few days at the time. I don't like where this is going. Why do I feel like she actually wasn't invited and used her credentials to get in anyway? So, I had gone into labour on May 16th, and unfortunately, someone in the hospital had contacted my mother-in-law, breaking HIPAA. Yeah, precisely. Whoever did that needs a slap on the wrist and a half, to tell her that I was in labour. Turns out, a friend of my sister-in-law worked in the hospital in the cafeteria and had bought my breakfast. My mother-in-law, after this friend from the cafeteria told her, was frantically texting my parents asking why I was in the hospital to get information on everything. Literally everyone but me. Yeah, because she probably knew that you'd be like, sling your out, love, I'm kind of busy right now. After I told my husband I was in labour, he finally got to leave military tech school when I went into labour to be with me. As soon as he got there, my mother-in-law found out from my sister-in-law's friends and went nuclear. She said things like, "So I found out you're in town. Our family that is gone would not believe you're acting like this." What? His family that had passed away? What? So she's kicking off because he came to the birth of his own kid? What? I'm so confused. Then she said, "All of our family is dead to you anyways," then texted a barrage of insults to my family about us being secretive and terrible people for not telling her I was literally in active labour. Have they gone no contact with the mother-in-law? Because it feels that way, doesn't it? It feels weird that she'd be kicking off that the son's in town for his own child's birth. Feel this context that we're missing here, and I would love to know about the backstory here. She then got some military spouse to text my husband and tell him that my parents are horrible people and scammers, and how she could report them to the VA for being scammers. Now, my parents honourably served in the military, so of course this is ludicrous and will absolutely be taken to court because it is so damaging. But my mother-in-law began to spread lies, calling me and my family toxic all over Facebook, and said that she hopes one day all will be made clear. I really have a feeling that this mother-in-law's son has decided to have nothing to do with her, and that's why she's acting like this. It's actually insane. My husband and I's memory of my child's birthday will be tainted with my mother-in-law's drama, and it breaks my heart because it was meant to be special. It will always be special, but it's just a bit sad now, if that makes sense. Thanks for reading. Oh, and my husband will have to collect his things from her house when he gets out, so if you have any advice for him, us, for collecting it, it would be so appreciated. And we're no longer in contact with her. She hasn't reached out to my husband, but hasn't blocked him. She blocked me and my family though. Thumbs up. I mean, that's probably for the best, let's be honest. If you don't have to hear off her, I imagine that'll be a lovely quiet day. So, down in the comments, Lethal Granny 764, what a username. I certainly hope you reported the HIPAA violation. That person should lose their job, absolutely. Because imagine if the OP's mother-in-law is actually genuinely violently unhinged. The damage that could have caused, especially considering she's a nurse and could have easily got into that hospital. Creepy. I experienced a similar situation when my father had to have his leg amputated due to diabetes. His sister's granddaughter was a nurse on his floor, and she called her grandmother and updated her his condition before we had even spoke to the surgeon. I was furious and wanted to report her, but my dad didn't want to rock the family boat. I did, however, confront her and told her that she only kept a job because of my dad's wishes. Hopefully, she learned a lesson. I hope so. And then Strong Storm 2167 says, "You get a police escort to help your husband collect his items from his mother's house." Yeah, exactly. If she's like violent or it's gonna all kick off, it's the easiest way to do it. Sue the hospital or the person that told your mother-in-law about being in hospital. Charge your mother-in-law for harassment and trying to defame your parents. Like, honestly, if that is all just over the fact that she wasn't the first told that you were in the hospital and that your husband didn't go and see her first before coming to see their child being born, that is an incredible overreaction, isn't it? From the mother-in-law. Wow. Okay, time for one more. Mother-in-law's gender disappointment. What? I've heard of gender disappointment from actual parents, which I think is a bit silly, but at the same time, I understand why people might feel that way. I didn't care, but I suppose, in a way, why someone might get it. I don't know. But it's certainly weird for a mother-in-law to experience. Very weird. My mother-in-law is a just no in so many ways. Fortunately, she doesn't live close, so we don't have to deal with her too much. Thank goodness, that is a blessing, isn't it? Too much history to list here, but we've recently told family we are pregnant with our second. Mother-in-law bought a ton of girls' clothes and girls' items when we told her that we were pregnant with our first, despite us telling everyone we were waiting for the birth to reveal the gender, so to only purchase gender-neutral stuff. She didn't listen and started planning girls' names. No, mother-in-law, that's not your place. The parents choose the names, not you. Girls' clothes, and all kinds of stereotypical girls' things that she was going to do with the baby. Well, our first ended up being a boy, and she melted down. Because of this, my husband wanted to tell her the gender of our second ahead of time so we could avoid the onslaught of girls' things, as we knew we are having another boy, which, by the way, I am super excited for. The absolute little shit in me would be like, no, let's not tell her again. Just let her waste her own money if she wants to be so ridiculous. Anyways, when we told her we were pregnant, she began jumping up and down and going on about how she was finally going to get her girl. My husband stopped her and told her that we were having another boy and that we were very excited for him. She immediately went cold and then started questioning us on how soon we were going to try again after this baby was born so we could get her girl. Husband explained that this was going to be our last baby. Yeah, let me tell you, having 2 kids is like the magic number. It's not like you only have the one, so there's no one for them to play with and also to learn life lessons with, but also, like, I feel more than 2 is it's just unnecessary, not gonna lie. I feel more than 2 is just torturing yourself. She told us we couldn't do that and that we had to have a girl. He shut her down and told her to drop it. Does she not realise that these are actual human beings with little personalities and they are their own little people? And let me tell you, having a girl does not mean that they're going to be into all the girly things and dresses and all that crap. The rest of the evening she was pouty and hostile. She has also since then let us know that she will not be sending anything for the baby as we have plenty of boy stuff from our first, and has taken to pretending that I'm not pregnant and that the baby doesn't exist. Oh, so she's insane. The hell? A family member also sent me a screenshot of mother-in-law's post in her church prayer request group asking for prayers for her gender disappointment. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad the husband just shut her down though. What a good husband. Out of the blue, she texted my husband yesterday asking when the due date was. He told her that she doesn't get that information and that once baby was born, he would let family know. She pushed, demanding to know how she was supposed to buy a plane tickets if she didn't know the due date. Or what? Plane tickets for the baby that you've been pretending doesn't exist for the past couple however long? Because you had a little fanny flap that the baby wasn't a girl. Grow up, mother-in-law, grow up. He told her she shouldn't be buying plane tickets because as of now, we were still debating on if she gets to meet the new baby based on her behaviour. She lost it and has been complaining about how mean we are to the rest of the family, how her gender disappointment is normal, and how we are being too cruel to her. I am so over this woman. So down in the comments, Frying the Cat 66, I hope you do not, says, just love your darling husband for shutting her ass down. Honestly, yes. Props to the husband. What a wonderful man. Then the OP says, I've read about spouses who struggle to set boundaries or stand up to family, and I am so thankful that he always has my back. Dealing with this woman would be impossible without it. If it weren't for father-in-law, who has health issues and may not be around for much longer, we probably wouldn't really deal with her at all. Unfortunately, they are a package deal right now, which is understandable, I get that. And then Betty Knott says, I know, like, she's def picked a good man. Okay, so I think that's going to be us for the day. If you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you very, very much. If you leave a little like, subscribe, notifications on, I'll appreciate you even more. And that's your initiation into the Cult of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the rest of the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.